Hey, what's up, guys? Ruff here. So we just got some more information regarding the upcoming HBO series Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and just like anything to do with the Harry Potter IP these days, it is mired in controversy thanks to the efforts of the most annoying people on social media who are launching a multi-pronged assault against this series because they're upset about multiple things. And after watching this video, you might find yourself thinking, do I want this series to succeed or fail? Because if it succeeds, it'll make one annoying sect of people very angry. If it fails, it'll make a similar annoying sect of people very angry. So it's really up in the air. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the reactions to the race swap of Professor Snape, which is getting a lot of backlash as well as memes. But this is a Harry Potter IP, so let's begin at the ground level. J.K. Rowling, the creator of the franchise, obviously, and anything involving her stirs up the most annoying people on social media who genuinely believe that she is a raging transphobe and that she is responsible for trans people being ended all across the globe. And that sort of sentiment is reflected in quotes like this, saying, if you watch and support this latest IP, you are funding trans genocide globally, by the way. So this sort of astroturfed hysteria involving Harry Potter IPs is nothing new. We saw this a few years back with Hogwarts Legacy, which was a game that probably would have just came and gone without a big stir, but there was a boycott focused on this game, trying to target anyone playing or streaming this because they believed doing so made you a transphobe. This began as a friendly reminder in quotes like this, where people were saying, if you care about trans people, you wouldn't support this IP. Then it became, on launch, an effort to actively go after people streaming this. In fact, there were whole websites dedicated to tracking people streaming Hogwarts Legacy for the purpose of conducting hate raids and harassing streamers, to the point where you had people like Silvervale getting threats and even their family doxxed for simply streaming this game and being told to off herself for being upset that that happened. But of course, we know how this ended. The boycott against this game backfired. It rallied people to buy this game to spite the most annoying and unhinged people online, and Hogwarts Legacy would top over 40 million units sold. These days, we talk about games selling a few million copies as some sort of a triumph. This sold 40 million. In the year of its release, this was the highest selling game. It made well over $1 billion in revenue, thanks to people like this, who are continuing on with the latest IP, saying, if you watch and support this, you are funding trans genocide globally, by the way. Now, of course, they're trying to enact a great deal of hysteria, but also peer pressure and moral guilt tripping like this in the replies, where this individual says, all of the actors and most of the crew are complicit. Complicit in what? This person's like insane reality that they're projecting onto everyone else. And also, is Black Snape complicit as well? Wow. But the original poster responds by saying, yup, it's sad these people hate trans people. I feel bad for the kids whose parents allowed this and that will undoubtedly regret this and denounce it when they're older. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. Yeah, those poor kids who have well-adjusted parents who allow their kids to consume a franchise without giving them a 6-hour lecture about how it's actually going to cause a genocide amongst trans people. And you can see another interaction here. This person saying, I'm so effing tired of people like you brainwashing trans people into believing they can't be friends with anyone who isn't a performative consumer of unproblematic content. And the original poster says, where did I say you cannot be friends with people? I'm just saying that if you watch this and you stand with transphobia. That's all they're saying. They're not saying you can't be friends with people. All they're saying is if you consume Harry Potter, you're funding a trans genocide and that you stand with transphobia. I mean, seriously, we know what this person's doing. That's exactly what they're trying to drive at here. But the other user responds by saying, and by extension, I hate my trans friends. Harry Potter sucks, but if kids love it, let them watch it. And the original poster says, I don't think you hate them. I just think you probably don't care about them as much as you think you do. If me pointing this out makes you insecure, you should think about why that is. Wow, that is super deep. This person is avoiding the entire premise of what they're pushing here. They're trying to say if you support this in any sort of a way, you are supporting a trans genocide. Okay? It's not about not caring about them as much as you think. You are making it very clear what this means to support this series under this reality they find themselves living in. By reality, I mean whatever they have concocted for the most outrage. And to give you an idea of the person we're dealing with here who's spreading this sort of hysteria, this is the hidden replies. Now, let me make this clear. You have to manually click on every single reply and click on hide reply. So every single one you're about to see was manually hidden by this user. And I'm only going to scroll through a little bit. I'm not even halfway through, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what one of the hidden replies was from? Asmongold, who left this saying, not being able to use the women's restroom isn't genocide. Not only do you delegitimize real genocides that have happened, but you also train people to ignore trans issues by making ridiculous comparisons. I can see why Asmongold's comment would be hidden by this person who's trying to fuel absolute hysteria, even if it makes people not want to listen to any issues being raised, because this stuff is delegitimizing any sort of issue being brought up in the original post, because this person is making these ridiculous comparisons. We're talking about watching a show on TV. Okay, it's an HBO series. Relax. And this is the sort of mentality a lot of these people have on social media. You can see this image here where they claim J.K. Rowling is saying, end every trans person. And this person, who I guess is supposed to be like a blind consumer, says, I'm an ally. I just really like Harry Potter. Unfortunately for this user, J.K. Rowling has never said anything like that. And of course, this is the hysteria they're looking for. And it's pointed out here saying she never said to end trans people. This is a lie. Not only that, they actively try to shame non-politically driven fans. I will buy anything she has written or has her name associated with, because they have to lie to attack her, and I hate liars. I support J.K. Rowling. She did nothing wrong. Resist the radical left-wing cult. Resist. And here's some more of that, saying, important reminder, if you are still engaging with the Harry Potter franchise, you are hurting trans people. Separate the art from the artist does not apply when the artist does this. Putting nostalgia above human rights is a display of weak character. I got a sneaking suspicion that this display of weak character is projection coming from an individual who is having a meltdown over people watching an HBO series about Harry Potter. But also, you see this whole separate the art from the artist does not apply in this situation. These people will use that sort of mentality only when they think it is applicable. Like, they don't use this generally, but they're deciding in this situation, you simply cannot separate the art from the artist, because people like this want to spread these ridiculous comparisons and spread a whole bunch of hysteria. Then you look at the accounts who are making these sorts of posts, and, it just makes sense. This person clearly is terminally online, and they would be very upset about stuff like this. But let's move on to the other half of this video, talking about the race swap of Severus Snape. This isn't anything that's exactly new, but it is obviously now confirmed and was presented as a part of the Season 1 teaser here, and people were very critical of this decision, because not only is it just a seemingly pointless race swap, it also doesn't make sense from a character point of view. It's kind of a Snow White situation with Rachel Zegler, where the name Snow White is supposed to be coming from the fact that her skin is as white as snow. Same with this, people pointing out that a major part of the novel is how Snape has greasy hair and all the students are disgusted by it. And now they gave him dreads. Right. Yeah, what did they mean by this? But of course, people are trying to hype this up, saying the dreads, The drip, aura. See, that's kind of the problem here. You care more about aura than respecting the entire basis of the character, right? The aura Snape is supposed to have is being creepy, right? Like, that's the whole point. He's supposed to be off-putting, at least when you look at him physically. But now we're worried about having like a positive aura with Snape. That's some sort of a win here. It makes absolutely no sense. And again, if you want to make some new characters, some new black characters, why don't you go and do that instead of just needlessly race swapping existing white characters for no reason? And in fact, in cases like this, it seems contradictory to what the character's supposed to look like based on what the novels are saying. But of course, don't point this out, especially if you're a black man like this, because people will call you derogatory terms like this. And as pointed out, yes, because not liking a race swap somehow means I hate my skin and want to be white. Yeah, according to Twitter, that's what they're going to say. But also some more simple points to be made. A wizard's costume should not have a zipper. Correct. That is actually a very fair point to make here. Also, there's a lot of memes coming out, including AI-generated music videos, and quite frankly, they are hilarious. But there's also a really nefarious aspect to all of this. As pointed out here, the Hollywood playbook: race swap a beloved character, fans reject it, make the actor the victim, actor talks about the racist backlash, release the trailer featuring the race-swapped character, use the actor's race as a shield for criticism, time and time again, just stop. So obviously, again, this wasn't a new announcement. It was something announced about a year ago, right? But eventually, the actor behind this new rendition of Snape would say the abuse fuels him and all the racist backlash is only empowering his decision to go for this role. And eventually, the teaser is released, and we're having this conversation again, and people are dismissing any criticism as the product of racism. And then you have posts like this saying the new Harry Potter looks fire. I don't give a F. And you know what? This series might be really good. In fact, a lot of people are looking at the overall trailer, the overall teaser for this project, and they think it looks pretty good. But that's the point, right? We're distracted from that, and instead people are talking about the race swap of Snape. Like, that is the point. A needless race swap has become the focal point of the internet's attention. And they knew that was going to happen, and anyone who's seen this stuff happen before knew this would be the results. But this is more important, I guess, than actually putting more focus on the quality of the show itself. I don't know. This whole thing is an absolute mess, as always. Anything with a Harry Potter IP these days is going to be the subject of a lot of backlash and controversy, and this is just another example of that. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about this video's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.